to Hashtag Sports.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're live. We're live, Paul. We're live here on Hashtag Sports, where we are trending now and trending later. We are going to be talking a little bit about that team from Western New York that won the AFC East last year, had 13 wins, Buffalo Bills. You guys might have heard of them. Anyway, what's up, Dwayne? The chat is booming. Everyone's rocking it out. We had weather that was good enough to be in Arizona today, Paul. It was actually kind of warm. Mm-hmm. But speaking of Arizona, if you guys want to venture down to the Valley of the Sun, down in the description, you're going to see Mr. Rogers Homes, the top 1% realtor in Arizona. So make sure you give him a call and tell him Paul and Mario sent you. We'll be running his commercial a little bit later in the show. But for everyone from Hashtag Nation, Bills Mafia, we are elated to be live tonight. We love talking with you guys. We love getting the feedback from everybody. And we're in a position right now with the Buffalo Bills that it's not too familiar. Usually when about this time of year, Buffalo Bills, we've already been talking about their draft picks and their free agents they can get in like November. Not the same way this year. And the Buffalo Bills are currently in another place over the cap. So some moves have to be done. We have our resident cap guru, as you guys know, and it's not me. Yes, it's the 150-pound savant straight out of A Beautiful Mind, Paul. So we're going to be talking about numbers. We're going to be talking about players. We're going to be talking about everything under the sun that you guys want to talk about. So we are glad that you're here joining us. First things first, though, Paul, how was your Sunday, buddy?
It was fine. For a beautiful Sunday day in Buffalo. It was gorgeous outside. I spent the morning in a bowling alley, as most Polacks do in Western New York. And, I'm 2 White Claws deep on my evening, ready to talk some Bills talk. So, I'm ready to go.
I think AK Cash had a few more White Claws than you because he said Zaven Collins or bust. It wouldn't be a bad pickup. Wouldn't be bad. No, I'm just messing around, AK. But
we probably got to give a shout out to the people in the chat who are members of the who are hashtag heroes. So yes. We got Chuck Christopher, Daniel Garies being one of our moderators, John Vernon, Rick Rarick, Pierre Martinez. Let's see here. Who else is in? Oh, of course, Apex.
Absolutely.
I know that Donnybrook is in. Dallas Howard is in. Anthony's in.
Yes. Yeah, all the usual suspects, too. I love having this little chat.
All the usual suspects. Yeah.
I do like Collins. I'm not going to say I know I made a joke, but I do like Collins. He is a hammer.
I'm not seeing him at 30.
I'm not seeing him at 30, but he's a hammer.
I'll see him at 22, at 23.
Would you trade up?
But you got to trade up. You got to trade up to get him.
Would you?
You got to trade up to get him. Yeah, get up a third.
Wow, I sound like.
Remember, no fourth this year. I think. True. Right? They have 2 fifths. So
I will look, Paul.
You can't package a fourth to move anywhere because they gave up that fourth.
All right, because we are the land of information. We have first, second, third, 2 fifths, the 6th, and the 7th that they traded the retiring Lee Smith to Atlanta for.
Isn't that great?
Oh
my
Bean.
God, Bean is great.
That alone, he's just dusting his shoulders off, laughing at everybody. It's phenomenal. I love it.
Fire plays on MC. Are you guys good with Dane Jackson at CB2? You must not watch our channel because. This is without a doubt a Dane Jackson Stan account. I will literally dance on a table. Dane Jackson gets that number 2 spot. We're begging for him all season.
Yes.
I am a big Dane Jackson fan. Big Dane
Lee
Jackson.
I'm sorry. Lee Smith pick is for next year. Thank you, Pierre, because I get things wrong.
Who cares, guys? This is an organization got to pick for AJ McCarron.
Hey, Dwayne, welcome to the 55-man roster and part of the hashtag heroes. We appreciate it. We just got off the phone on a Zoom call. If any of you guys want to be Hall of Famers, we just got off a Zoom call with the Hall of Famers just before we went live tonight. And I got to tell you, I absolutely love those calls. They're entertaining. They're fun. They're informative. Fun. I swear to God, you guys are the best. I love the Hall of Fame. I love all of the hashtag heroes, but the Hall of Famers we get to talk to, you don't really get that on many places. You know what I mean? We have that little behind the scenes stuff, so that's a lot of fun. But thank you for Dwayne. Thank you for joining, Dwayne. We appreciate you. Apex says right out of the gate, package from.
I don't think there's any. I mean, listen, Fromm gave up his jersey number to Emmanuel Sanders, so of course everybody's ready to pack his bags, right?
Indeed, my friend. Indeed.
Yeah. I just there's no market for Jake Fromm, right? There's just no market for Jake Fromm. He's proven nothing. He started nothing. There's no market for Jake Fromm. Did I lose Mario?
No.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
here.
You're right there.
I got some technical difficulties over here. I had to readjust my seat. But
Did you pull out your headset again?
I did not this time. I'm not talking with my hands tonight at all. This is kind
Whatever.
of it's like getting handy.
Whatever.
It's
Rick Rarick asked a question that we actually had talked with the Hall of Famers on the Hall of Fame call. What about this offseason? We haven't really heard anything about what the offseason plan is going to be, as far as training camps, rookie training camps, OTAs. We never really talked about or haven't heard much on that yet from the league. But on the Hall of Fame call, it was brought up that we imagine that it's probably abbreviated. Right now they're probably looking at trying to get in a full training camp, but the plan will probably become abbreviated at some point. I would imagine the rookies will report, and you'll probably see a shorter veteran off season, but likely you'll still have at least some veteran off season. Probably, I would imagine maybe 2 preseason games is what I'm thinking. Because remember, don't forget, they should be going to 17 games this season, so that's going to impact that preseason.
Yeah, and it's it was the cause that we thought last year, Paul. Remember, we thought it was the cause for a Vernon Butler signing, a Mario Addison signing, a Quentin Jefferson signing, because you wanted guys that could come in and play right away. And because there was going to be an abridged offseason, you wanted guys that can come in and make an impact, and the Buffalo Bills did that. And for that season, 13-3, they won the AFC East. They made it to the AFC Championship game. It worked. Obviously, you didn't foresee Star Lotulelei opting out. He, by all accounts, he's going to be back. As far as the information that we have at our disposal, he's going to be back. So you get a big piece there of you get a guy that can eat up some bodies in the middle. What did Daniel Garvey say? Paul is graduating from slamming Mario through a table to dancing on one for Dane Jackson in CB2.
Yeah.
But that all being said, they don't have the resources to go after a lot of veterans. But one guy I think we need to talk about it's gonna be on an episode tomorrow. You guys are gonna see. We talked about the vested veterans and how Buffalo Bills can save some money taking on some contracts with some vested veterans. Now we're not gonna dispel too much of the episode, but it's amazing that we recorded that a week ago, and then the Bills signed Jacob Hollister. So Paul, can you just go into that a little bit?
Yeah. So again, if you're a member at any level, even with the practice squad, you get is it practice squad that gets early
55
entry?
and up.
55 and up. Okay, 55-man roster and up gets access to all the episodes early. We normally only record once a week, and then we kind of disperse those out over the course of the week. So you get advanced access to all those episodes. But we held on to the vested veteran one because we wanted to kind of wait until Bean pulled the trigger on one.
Yes.
And there's actually in the CBA there's a mechanism to get a salary cap credit by signing veterans to a certain contract. Jacob Hollister just happens to be one. So even though Jacob Hollister is going to be making like almost $1.2 million, that's not what he's going to count against the salary cap for. The Bills are actually going to be getting a credit for him, having him on the roster. It's only equal to a second or third year player?
Second year player. I will look up his deal right now.
Yeah.
So basically, here's how it works. As far as over the cap, we always love that resource. Over the cap resource. Yep. It'll say the contract value is $1.1275 million, but the salary cap charge for the Buffalo Bills is $987, which is, that's before that would be near the 51 cutoff that they used to have prior to the new renegotiation of the CBA. So they're actually getting a credit because he has 4 accrued seasons. It's right around that number that you said. And then his bonus as well. So it's basically, okay, we'll give you a 1-year deal, shop your wares, but they're getting a credit on it because of his deal. And it's a great move by Bean. It's a great move to get a guy. I mean, now we'll get to this discussion. This doesn't take a tight end off the table, but because if you think back to TJ Yeldon, they signed him right before the draft. They ended up drafting Devin Singletary. But the point is this. He's using all of his resources that he has at his disposal, including this vested veteran contract. And
shout out to Jesse. He's Bills fan from Los Angeles. Says we're his favorite.
Now you got to be more specific, Jesse. Is it Paul or is it me? Because you won't hurt my feelings. Because everyone loves Paul. He's the darling
No.
of the show.
That is not a fact. That is not true. The comment section says otherwise on YouTube. I would not say that to be true.
I'm getting roasted in the comment section.
But Mar, you're absolutely right. Just because you're signing tight ends is just because you need depth at the position.
Absolutely.
Just as we talked about Vernon Butler, renegotiating his contract with Buffalo doesn't ensure that he's on the team when week 1 rolls around. All you're doing is just giving yourself some flexibility with these guys with the pay cuts. Vernon Butler might not be on this team come week 1, even though he just renegotiated his deal. That just guaranteed him an opportunity to make the team, doesn't guarantee that he's going to be on the team. Somebody like Starr, Starr's on this team. Like when you renegotiated his deal,
yes,
there's no getting out of that one. But Vernon Butler, on the other hand, you can get out of and still save some money. So is it possible? Sure. And these cap credits, man, when you're over the cap, like Spin says that the Bills are $900,000 over. Over the cap has them at $2 million over right now. So you have to find ways to shave some money. And, we're getting to a point where roster bonuses are going to be due now. Salaries are going to start guaranteeing. Roster bonuses are going to start guaranteeing. And that's going to immediately start counting that money against your salary cap. So, there's a couple players. And Mark, did you want to get to this now? Talking about how the Bills could free up some salary cap space? Because they are over right now, but there's a couple they could make that could get them there. Or did we want to table that?
I was laughing at Daniel Garvey's comment in this.
I'm the Kelly Ripa of hashtag. Yeah, we're in the same weight class, by the way.
If you go to overthecap.com, I want to get to that exactly, Paul. I definitely want to get to that topic. But it's funny to see how the Bills stack up with other teams that are over the cap. You look at the Rams. I mean, the Buffalo Bills have $3.6 million in dead cap. Okay, all right. With the signings, the cuts, that's bound to happen. But then they're surrounded by the Rams, $39 million. The Eagles, $40 million. The Saints, $24.5 million in dead cap. All three of those teams surround the Bills in dead cap money, and it's hilarious to see that. But yeah, here's the deal: as far as over the cap does, as of right now, they're 2.2. I know Spin said they're 900 over, but that's not counting Feliciano's deal because it's not signed yet, and I understand that. The Buffalo Bills could try to shave a little bit more money. And then the one player that Paul looked at was Jerry Hughes. And Paul is going to explain this. And I hope you got your calculators, pen and pad ready, because this is amazing the way that he breaks this down. Okay. So I'll give you the base salary for Jerry Hughes currently right now is 6.1. Prorated bonus is 2.1. Basically, when it's all said and done, his cap number is 9.45. That's what he has right now. Okay.
Right. So here's how this works, right?
Yep.
There's something called a simple restructure that you can do. And that simple restructure is you take a base salary and you turn it into signing bonus. And then you can take that signing bonus money and divide it evenly across the remaining years on the deal. That's a simple restructure. Unfortunately, Jerry Hughes has no more years remaining, so you can't do a simple restructure with Jerry. What you could do is you could actually extend his deal for 2 years. By doing that and then turning his base salary into a signing bonus, you're going to take Jerry Hughes from about $9 million. You're going to end up saving right around $3.3 million, best case scenario. So one thing you can do, again, is you add 2 years, you add, a 2022 year, and then you add a voided year. What that voided year is Jerry's not really going to be on your team. Yeah. It's just kind of a place to hide an extra year of that signing bonus money that you're dividing out. So you could take a $9 million Jerry Hughes, and you can get him down and get yourself some space by giving him this exact same money he would be getting anyway, just in a different avenue. And by extending his deal 1 more year, I don't think anybody's going to complain about that. Jerry certainly isn't. I mean, a 35-year-old pass rusher on the open market right now is, he's not going to get any money. So I'm sure he'd be happy to sign for 1 more year. But you could free up some space, get below the cap. It's not going to be enough to sign Feliciano, though. You still got a lot of room to go there.
Yeah.
But with Hughes, if you extend his deal, give him another 2 years, one of the 2 years being a voided deal, a voided year, a non-existent year, you can save, 3.35 best case scenario.
So let me see if I got this right, Paul. And we got a comment. He said, Pierre Martinez says, do we really want to extend Hughes? And I said, well, you got Mario Addison up until Mario Addison. Well, I just had it. Sorry. Mario Addison is through 2022. So you'd have them both on the same path, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd have another year to figure it out in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
So here's basically Paul, what you're saying is that Jerry Hughes right now $9 million, and I'm talking with my hands, so I already did that. So the point is this: let's just say, for number's sake, $9 million. If you extend him one more year, you could save 4.5. But if you extended him one more year and then voided a third year, you're prorating that $9 million. Let's say you prorate that $9 million over 3 years, so it's 3 each year.
You're thinking $9 million though. Remember, he's got $2 million in signing bonus already.
That's right.
You can't do anything with that. So he's got a $6.1 million base salary.
Yes.
To pay him veteran minimum, that's $1.075 million. So you can only really spread out $5 million.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay. All right. That's what.
That's how that works.
So, but by extending, and this is the crazy part about it, guys, is I'll tell you, Paul went through this with a fine-tooth comb. The CBA will probably get rid of this voided year nonsense because all it is it's basically just to try to get their books online. That's basically what it is. If you think we're lying, go check out the Taysom Hill contract.
Oh yeah, insane. He's got like 4 voided years.
He's got like 4 voided years in it. And so what they're going to do is it's going to be one of those situations where I think similar to Drew Brees, they're just trying to keep kicking the can down the road, and then Mickey Loomis is going to have another $50 million money bomb go. But the point is this: the voided years allow you to prorate bonuses over multiple years, so it's not slamming your cap all at once.
Right.
And it's a beautiful move, and it's a legal move for teams to do. Plus, like Paul said, Jerry Hughes is not going into age 35. He's not going to argue getting extended another year by the Buffalo Bills.
Right.
Which give the Bills another year to draft, maybe another end, maybe to figure out what's going on with Epineza at that point.
Right.
Whatever free agents may hit the market. But it's interesting to see how this money, the business part, really shapes up. And the Bills can get under the cap readily if they're able to. Now, remember, Jerry has to agree to this. You know what I mean? This is all great in theory, but the player has to be able to agree to that.
Well, and I think that's the debate, right? So Dwayne Farr says Hughes averaged 4.5 sacks a year, and his tackles are down over the last 2 years. And John Verner retorts, Hughes is still up there in QB pressures. I think you just need to understand what you're re-signing, right? You're not re-signing a 12-sack or 13-sack Jerry Hughes.
No,
like even in Hughes' best year, he still wasn't top on the team in sacks. Like when Hughes had career years, and Marcel Darius having career years in sacks, you had Kyle Williams having career years in sacks. Like Hughes was the benefactor of interior defensive tackle pressure in his best years in Buffalo. So you're not getting that guy. But what you are getting is you're getting a guy who does a good enough job that he is not going to hurt you, right? You know Hughes in this system doesn't hurt you.
No, he doesn't. No.
You know, and another year of Jerry Hughes, I don't mind. Am I going to get the sacks out of him that people want? Of course not. But to John's credit, he still gets to the quarterback, just not as fast as he used to. But if you're looking at getting his replacement anyway, I'd rather have 2 years of Jerry Hughes than, having to worry about that position next year. Because think about next year, right? Next year, your starting defensive tackle or your starting defensive ends are Daryl Johnson and AJ Epineza. Right? Because Lord knows if Mario Addison's even going to be on this team. Jerry Hughes is walking into a contract year. Like it gets to choppy waters in 2022 really fast.
Yeah, absolutely. And
which makes the Hughes extension just make all that more sense.
It does make a lot of sense because you're looking at, let's try to look at this from Jerry Hughes' standpoint. 33 years old, going into the last year of his deal. You're at the point in your career now, even though because you didn't really put up daunting numbers, but that's not the defense that's really run here in Buffalo anyway. You're more of a set the edge, let all the linebackers clean up the stuff. He creates a lot of pressure. I'm not the player on the field. I know he creates pressure. He doesn't get the numbers. I understand that. He's an excellent player, but looking at it from Jerry's standpoint, he's going to be a guy that's going to sign 1-year deals for the rest of his career anyway, because no one's really going to take a high chance on Jerry, I think. So if he looks at it as, hey, if I'm only going to get a 1-year deal, maybe a 2-year, 2 years aren't guaranteed anymore, especially with the cap going down for a player at his age. If I'm going to have 1 more year, why don't I do it in a place that I'm familiar with? I know this defense. I know these players. I know it's a winning culture that's going on here. I don't want to leave anywhere. I mean, just look at Levi Wallace, what he said about the Buffalo Bills. I mean, that is, if that doesn't speak volumes of what's going on at One Bills Drive, I don't know what does.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And the fact of the matter is there's not a single player at his age that was a free agent this offseason that is signed. Think about that, right?
He has to
That
think about that. So is his agent.
exactly. Exactly. So the closest free agent who signed at the defensive end position this offseason was JJ Watt, and he's 32. Right? And JJ Watt is not Jerry Hughes.
No. And the thing is this. Jerry doesn't have to do
Jerry
a thing.
Hughes is not JJ Watt.
You
can look at that either way.
No, yeah,
Depends on if you like it depends on if you like the player or not.
He listen, here and all things being considered, Jerry doesn't need to do a damn thing right now.
No.
He doesn't need hey, you want to renegotiate? No. I will go on a 1-year deal tomorrow next year somewhere else, blah blah blah. He doesn't have to do anything. But just saying, other guys have followed suit. They extended Jerry early. I mean, that was one of the first moves that Bean made. Remember when he extended him for a couple of years? That was one of the first moves that Bean made. And that, remember, Jerry Hughes is like, besides Reed Ferguson, they're the last two. They're the last two from the previous regime.
Yeah,
and
from Doug Whaley.
he's still here. So that speaks volumes probably to the relationship that they have. So, I mean, having the talk, I don't think would be very daunting for Bean and Hughes to get something done. But
well, and I think the defensive end position is something you have to be concerned with, right? Because at the
yes.
30th overall pick, we posted an article on this on, htagsports.com. Believe it or not, we actually have a website that we occasionally put things to. There's a gigantic difference between defensive ends drafted in the top 10 and then defensive ends drafted 11 through 50. Like it's not even close. So getting a quality starter at 30 is really, 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 really tough. At the defensive end position, it's really tough. So I would continue to expect Buffalo to dumpster dive at that defensive end position. Just continue to find guys that they feel are going to be of value. And I mean, if we just want to toss out one name, Bills were in on him in 2018. Ziggy Ansah will sign here for league minimum.
Do you think he will though? That's weird.
It's league minimum, man. He's been injured the last 2 seasons. At this point, he's
not
lucky
signed,
to
right?
even. No, he's unsigned. He was with San Francisco. They signed him when Watt went out, when Bosa went out, and they played like one game and got hurt.
So is that a culture fit that might be a problem with him?
Ansah? Well, the Bills ran on him 2 years ago, so I'm pretty confident that they feel okay with it.
Well, okay, Stefan, I'm just gonna bring this out there. Poyer at defensive end, and Earl Thomas.
Can't do everything. He can't do everything.
He can. Stop it.
Well, I mean, we saw AJ Klein was really effective in blitz schemes. Are they looking at just saying, we're going to go with what we got and just bring 5? The Bills blitzed a lot last year.
You can't even get rid of him at this point. Not that I would. I mean, Ziggy Ansah is so 2019. Oh, my God, Pierre. That's good.
I'm just bringing it up, man.
David comes in and says, do you think we improved the edge this year? I would love to draft one in the first round.
You're going to have to move up.
You're going to have to, because Paul actually has an article on htagsports.com talking about the guys that are not taken in the top, 20? Was it 20 or 10? 10. Top 10. They're like, ugh. You look at last year's draft, you're talking about, who was that maniac for Washington? Chase Young.
Oh, yeah, Chase Young.
And then it was just a graveyard after that.
Well, yeah, and Montez Sweat was there as well, and Sweat was
the year before you're talking about, right?
Yeah, and Sweat was a great value where they got him the year before.
Oh, he was, yeah.
Right, great value.
They spent 4 straight years just drafting defensive linemen. That defensive front four in Washington is disgusting.
Right. So just to give you a real quick breakdown, players that are picked 1 through 10 per player average.
Yes.
And this is considering per factoring in games played. It was pretty even across the board statistically. Players that are picked 1 through 10 are averaging 7 sacks on the season and 16 QB hits. The best that you get after that is 3.5, half the production. You're at best getting half the production if you pick a player outside the top 10 at that defensive end position. And that's at best on average.
I know.
You're getting half the production. It's not even close.
And it's not, I don't want to say it's not of big importance for McDermott, but it's not. For him, it's not. It was never a big deal for him.
Right.
In his defenses, we're going to have the chicken or the egg. But you don't bring this many guys in from Carolina and watch how this defense progresses as far as the defensive end position, and not say that it's Sean McDermott. You know what I mean? He wants guys to just set the edge and let their linebackers clean up everything. That's really what it is. Speaking of the Redskins, Ryan Kerrigan is available, 33 years old, I think. Ooh, woof.
So blitz percentage last year, the Bills were 1, 2, 3,
Pretty high,
4,
right?
5, 6, 7, 8th in the league in blitz percentage. How's that? Right? 8th in the league in blitz percentage. And if we talk about sacks, they were middle of the road. Wasn't that bad, guys?
It's about pressure.
It wasn't that bad.
It's really about pressure, bro. I mean, that's the biggest thing that they want to do. They want to try to generate pressure. That's why you have the secondary that you have to clean up the pressure that comes in the front.
Right.
Do you think this is a good time? I mean, since we're talking about contracts, since we're talking about players, I wanted to talk about this. I've talked about it with you. It's Mitchie Biscuits, man. Do we want to talk about Mitchie Biscuits, or is that an episode?
No. I think we can. I think it's a better episode. Oh
God, I just want to
I really do.
It's bomb on everybody.
I know. I think it's a better episode to put some context, though.
Absolutely.
You know,
yes, we'll put some context.
Let me paraphrase quickly. Right, Mitchie Biscuits deal. First off, they got him for a song, right? Not often can you sign a quarterback for the money that Mitchie Biscuits signed for. Like, he's making less than backup money in the NFL.
Oh my God. You look at Dalton.
Period. The end.
You look at all these other guys. Yeah,
exactly. He's making less than backup money, so that's a great deal. But there's some cool things at play behind the scenes with the Mitchie Biscuits signing that make a lot of sense. And when Mario dropped this on me, I'm like, that is a genius point. Like, that is genius.
We're gonna
and
make
the
you
move
wait.
actually makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot.
I appreciate that, Paul. It's not very often I come up
really
with those bad. That's usually your area, but so I mean, going into what the Bills are going into, it seems like we talk about the roster, okay? Talk about they kept the line intact, majority of it. They didn't really make any big splashes because they couldn't. They really couldn't make any big splashes. But you look around the AFC East, and this is the thing that I wanted to do, and I thought it was interesting because we've said for years, you got to take care of your division first. And if the Buffalo Bills, with their roster, how they ran it, how everything was done, won 13 games, made a run that they did, you look at all the other teams in the AFC East. I mean, okay, I just pulled up Miami's depth chart. You got Devontae Parker and Will Fuller. They still have Jakeem Grant for right now. They pick up Robert Foster. What do all those names scream to you, Paul?
They plan on throwing the football. That's it. They and Tua is their quarterback, right? Like, I think there's a point where and Ali Akbar says, we like sports and we don't care who knows. Thank you, Ali, for your super
Ali's chat. Mostly, I've seen him a lot in Dan Mitchell's lives. I've seen him quite a bit in there. So, Ali, thank you for taking a break from Dan to come hang out at Hashtag. Appreciate you, brother.
I think there's some cool things that play within the division.
Yes.
So, first off, Miami is looking at Tua Tagovailoa as their quarterback, and Tua's not going to beat you down the field. So, them getting a bunch of speed receivers seems kind of counterproductive to me.
Well, they did pick up Jacoby Brissett.
Right. Well, that's one thing,
yes.
Right? But two is they're still very much in play to try and deal for Watson. And Watson at this point is going to pick his destination if a team is willing to trade for him, given all the sexual allegation things that are happening down there. I think Miami's kind of immune to being worried about stuff like that. But with that being said, they're making a bet. They're trying to make a great case to bring in a quarterback. I think that's what they're doing. I really think they're
all these shiny new toys.
Yeah. And Brissett's a good quarterback. He's a really solid game manager.
I like Brissett.
Brissett's a good quarterback. He's an above average quarterback.
He was in New England when Flores was there.
Not phenomenal.
He was
good.
He was
good
in there. I'm just saying they like familiarity.
Well, and this came up on the Hall of Fame calls. So I mean, you look at what New England is doing, right? And every team is looking up to Buffalo. That's right. Let me repeat myself because
Yes.
I've never gotten to say that before.
Louder for the people in the back, Paul.
Every team in the AFC East is looking up at Buffalo and saying, how do you beat them? Well, you have a basically returning defense for the 4th season in a row, right? Where you're basically returning, the same defense.
Yes.
And how do you beat them? And it's tight end play, right? Like the tight ends have torched Buffalo for 4 seasons. We saw it against Indianapolis. Jack Doyle, torched the Bills, and the Patriots did it for years. And you see the Patriots spend all this money on tight ends, right? Like there's a method to the madness there. And
yes,
when you start looking at teams trying to counter you, that's a big statement about how good your team is on an NFL level. Like we can sit here all night and talk about, how good we feel about the Bills, but when teams inside the division are making moves to counter the moves you've already made or the commitments you've already made, that's a big statement about, about your future that season.
it really does. It really does make a huge. It's like, wait, did you mention that New England was getting the band back together? Is there everybody else that they had, like Trent Brown, Chase Winovich, everybody's coming back, like.
Gotta do what you gotta do, man.
It's interesting. No, it's so interesting to see because all 3 of those teams, the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Patriots, all had severe cap numbers. Like they could spend, and they did. Like New England was spending their stimulus check. Like they were just like, okay, we're gonna get this guy. Trent Brown comes back. The fact that who is it? Van Noy? I think it's Van Noy, right?
Yep.
The fact that they get a compensatory pick this year and Van Noy back is a flawed system.
Mm-hmm.
Proof of a flawed system.
Yep.
It is ridiculous. But you look at who they got. I mean, there's going to be some dog fights in the AFC East next year. Like I'm not writing off anybody, even though we make jokes about it. And our good friend Ryan over at Jets Talk 24/7. I mean, you look at the Jets, Corey Davis, Denzel Mims, Josh Doxson, Jamison Crowder. Now, just on speed, Keelan Cole. Just on speed alone, and they got LaMichael Perrine in the backfield. Mm-hmm. They're just going to try to outrun everybody. But you know what? They didn't really do much with their line. They didn't really do much.
The Jets?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Jets are in trouble top to bottom. It doesn't matter how much money they spend. You have no idea who's going to be playing quarterback for you. You have no offensive line that could protect any quarterback that you're willing to make an investment in anyway. There was an offensive NFL. There was Pat McAfee had said that he got word that there was an offensive coach in the NFL that called Sam Darnold terrible. He just called him bad. He's like, no, he's trash. Sam Darnold's trash.
That's the thing about me. I have a higher opinion of Darnold. Do I mean?
Yeah, well, Jets where players go to die. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue with that. Hard to argue with that.
Are you guys getting delays?
There was a little bit of one. Yeah, there was a little bit of one. No, we're okay. Yeah, we're okay now. Yeah. Pierre Martinez says the Jets will beat the Patriots. What do you think these Patriot moves do to Buffalo? Right? Like, because I'm getting mixed signals from the Bills, and I guess the draft will clear it up, right? Because one, they don't have a lot of money to make moves, so you really don't know what they're targeting in the draft because they've had limited resources, right?
Yes.
You still have AJ Klein. You just re-signed Matt Milano. You have Tremaine Edmonds. Okay. Tight end play has been a problem, and you're not addressing that at this point, right? You're not. So is the goal just to deal with what you're dealing with on defense and draft a running back like Etienne is, who everybody seems to be talking about over and over and over again? So is that the move, right? Where you just plan on scoring more points? Is the move that – because here's what I'm getting at. The Patriots signing 2 tight ends to, $12.5 million per year is a big statement of what they think of your defense.
It is.
It's a big statement.
People want to say this, that, and the third about Belichick once Brady left. I mean, Brady leaves and he wins the Super Bowl. I mean, so everyone is – it's very easy to make that argument. Oh, it was all Brady all those years. Not really. I don't think it is. I think Belichick is ahead of the curve on that, where the Jets and the Dolphins are trying to get speed on the outside. Belichick's like, I just need 3 yards in the cloud of dust. I just need to keep the ball out of your hands. You know what? If I have 2 stud tight ends, I can keep the ball out of your hands. You can't score all those points. And then pressure is going to be put on you to score those points.
Well, and what's the easiest way to relieve pressure from your quarterback is
it's
to
tight
get
ends. Yeah.
is get tight ends.
So what you're going to try to do is you're going to try to get your linebackers to come in, therefore opening up the outside eventually, so they can't spread out. So I mean, in that respect, I could see what Belichick is trying to do by selling. I mean, they've always systematically wanted a 2 tight end system. I mean, that's when they had the most success. You have a slot guy that can run any route, Edelman, and then you got 2 tight ends that are very good tight ends. So, like I said in the Hall of Fame call, I don't know who they're going to find to throw them the ball, but that being said, it's still an effective thing because the Jets didn't do anything to try to stop tight ends. Neither did Miami. So he's taking the old school approach of you got to take care of your division first. If they go 6-0 in the division and then they go 500 outside of the division, they're in the playoffs.
Steve Rose brings up something interesting. He says, thinking with the corners signed in free agency, one of the top corners in the draft may fall into the 20s, so you can move up and snag one, which would be great value. And that would kind of go along with the poker face that Bean has had in his media, in his media stop so far, where he's outright said, we're comfortable with Levi and Dane Jackson battling out for the number 2 cornerback position. And if you're targeting a corner in the draft, that is the perfect thing to say, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Ideal thing to say, like, no, we're comfortable with that. And then draft comes and you move up 4 spots and you snag somebody that to play corner. You're like, you know what? It's we had an opportunity to get somebody to improve the room and we took it. You got 1 year with Levi. He's on a 1-year deal, so there's no commitment there. Dane Jackson's a restricted free agent that you have for another 2 years on 1-year deal, so you're not worried about that position, right? Like, Bean is so good at the poker face. It's incredible because you could grab a running back in the draft. You could try and grab a nickel linebacker, which there are a bunch of linebackers in this draft. Like, this is such a linebacker draft.
It is.
If you need a linebacker, this is the draft for you. This is the one this is the one that you want. And Mar, you've told me 100 times when looking at the Bills draft history, because we did the 2018 draft, the 2019 draft, and the 2020 draft.
Absolutely.
What was the one big point that you kept coming back to me at?
2017 too. 2017.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
yeah, we didn't do that episode, right? But yeah.
No, I mentioned that in the 2018 episode. It was the fact that they draft the biggest volume position in the first round. So in 2017, Trey was the 4th corner. Josh Allen was one of 5 quarterbacks in the first round. Ed Oliver was one of 5 defensive tackles. And they traded for Diggs, but Justin Jefferson was the 5th wideout. So
taken in their draft pick.
Yeah, in their draft
taken
pick.
in their spot.
So if you think about what is the biggest volume position, that's why Paul mentions it. The biggest volume position this year in this year's draft for the Buffalo Bills is going to be a linebacker. Is the sky falling if they take a linebacker in the first round at 30, Paul?
No.
Why? I'm curious.
You got to reinvent your defense somewhere. I mean, you haven't picked up Tremaine's option yet. You have until May 3rd, May 6th, sometime in May to pick up Tremaine's option, which is after the draft.
Yes.
You got Milano for at least 2 years.
Yes.
You look at his deal; it's at least 2 years, even though it's signed for 4. You can get out of it after 2 pretty harmlessly. This is if you're gonna grab a linebacker and you're unsure of the future of Tremaine Edmunds because you don't know if you can spend the money on Edmunds and Allen at the same time. This is the draft to go get your guy. This is the draft to go get your guy and try again. Not to say that Tremaine's a failure because he's not.
No.
The fact of the matter is, at some point, it becomes about the money. This draft might be it. You don't get classes like this very often that are hyper deep at linebacker. And one of the interesting things is that there's a lot of linebackers who are really heralded in this class who didn't play last year. That's what's so fascinating to me is teams will be dumb enough to pull the trigger on a guy that they've only got 2 years of film on, right?
Right.
But that's why really solid talent is going to slip down the board because some of the really flash names didn't even play last year.
No, they did not. And I know what you're talking. I gotta think that they traded up for Edmonds too. Though we can't be remiss and
That's true. Yeah, they did.
I think because of his age, he was so alluring to them. So
he was 19, right?
He was
Or 18?
19 when he got drafted. I mean, his contract here. He's gonna be 23. There's guys that come out at 23. You know what I mean? It's like you even mentioned that on an episode. You're like some guys that are getting drafted right now are 24, 23 years old. Edmonds is entering his contract year at age 23. That's ridiculous. You can't get that kind of value, that kind of stuff. But I wouldn't be against them drafting a linebacker at that position simply because of the value, number one. Number two, like you said, you're not going to know if you're going to extend him until May. But the key is this. If you can't, this is why people having multiple draft picks, having multiple first-round picks is not good, especially when you couple it with a quarterback that you're going to have to pay.
Right.
So that's
it made a lot of sense at the time.
Absolutely. I mean, it
made a lot of sense at the time.
You needed a quarterback from each side of the ball that you were going because you were in a rebuilding phase. So you needed a young guy in there that was going to take the reins, and because there was no it was like if there was a linebacker, a middle linebacker that McDermott inherited, it would have been a different look for the defense. But because he was a guy that he went and got, it's his guy, he's going to be pounding the table, the guy with the biggest voice in the room, the middle linebacker, for the head coach. And we saw the fallout of that. 3 years later, they go 13-3. So,
well, and David Atherton Ellie says Edmonds is a good player, but he's not great. And I think I'm just going to harken back. I get caught up with his role in the defense, right? He's a super athletic guy. I just don't love him in the middle.
I know, and
that's where I am.
That's
I just
your hill.
Don't love him in the middle.
That's
it's a hill that I die on. Yeah, it's a hill that I die on.
And it's fine. It's fine that's your hill. I mean, I'm see, you guys have to. If you're members of hashtag for a long time, you understand this. Paul does not get off these hills.
Brian,
the Brian Dable hill, the cornerbacks from Ohio State.
I will die on that
Edmonds
hill.
Going to the outside
all day long.
AJ McCarron was a great signing. All this stuff. I'm just saying. I had to throw
for years. I begged for the Bills to sign McCarron for years. Guys, this is going back to when he was drafted. Before we were even on YouTube. This goes back years. But I think it's important to call out a couple things. First off, I saw who was it?
Wait a minute, Paul.
Les Mistress.
Wait, Paul. Wait.
What?
Everyone does this, so I have to do it for you because you're not going to do it for yourself. Paul, even though things happen differently, Paul called me on the phone 2 months before the draft and said, dude, the Bills should go after Zay Jones. I think they're going to draft Zay Jones. I'm like, you're out of your mind. You're out of your mind. Whatever. Guess what happens? Paul does not toot his own horn when he calls things right. So I got to do it for him.
No.
Paul, you called Zay Jones being drafted 2 months before it even happened. It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. But go ahead.
I was locked in on Zay. Somebody, and I think it was Lemistress, mentions Eric Stokes, the corner from Georgia. Listen, 40 times are really flashy, right? Stokes has to play man coverage, right? If you're going to use 4.25 to your advantage, you put him in man coverage, right? Bills don't run a lot of man coverage. Stokes is a wasted pick for you. Flashy, but the Bills don't live on corners who run 4.25.
I love Stokes, though.
I know. A lot of people are. It's a fun number, right? But, I mean, it's a straight speed.
Let me ask you this.
Straight speed.
Let me ask you
But the Bills run zone, man. Speed don't matter.
They have run zone. But with all of the changes coming to the AFC East, with this defense being together for almost 4 years now, Paul, is that the change this defense needs to play more man and bring even more pressure, be number one in bringing pressure? Is that the thing? Because if you're not getting the pressure from the ends and your edge rusher is not top priority for you, getting a CB2 that can run with all of these horses while blitzing and playing man could be some, because we know Trey.
Mm-hmm. Trey can play man.
No,
Trey's one of the best mirror corners in the league.
I love him.
Like
I love him there.
He
Putting
so
Stokes
easily
across from him,
flows with routes. Trey does things that that other corners struggle to do, and he's so good. He's so good. With that being said, I want to just point out that my resume of picks that I was absolutely in love with is not exactly a redeeming list.
No, it's
so
not.
Thank you so much.
No, but my point is this: the fact that you called a Zay Jones, and everyone ran to their computers once he was drafted. Afterward, I'm like, but the point is this:
I did write an article named "The Bills Will Draft Zay Jones" and posted it.
He was
on the
not
website.
shy about it. No,
I was not. No,
he said that Dane Jackson is good, man, and I agree with that. We had an episode before where I'd love to see Dane Jackson down in the slot and see what he's like. I'd love to see what Dane Jackson's down like in the slot.
But you got Tyron. But isn't Tyron in a contract?
Tyron
no. Next year's not in a contract year. So this is
Tyron Johnson.
I
have it right here. He's entering his contract year.
Right. Oh, entering year 4.
He's entering year 4 right now.
Mm-hmm.
I know, right?
Ooh, that's where things get interesting.
That's where things get a little dicey. But the point is this: that would be the switch up going on with this defense that I could see happening. And the fact is, if you put a legit stud across from, now you said straight line speed. I understand that. You remember those 2 horses are behind him. Hyde and Poyer are back there.
Yep.
You need help on the run. You got Poyer. You got Milano and Edmonds are back. If they're healthy, and you solidify the middle. I'm not saying the ends. I'm saying the middle of that defense. And you want to blitz AJ Klein every freaking down. Well, then you don't have to go nickel. You could put Milano and Edmonds there. You could blitz Klein, and you can have Stokes as your CB2 to clear up anything else that you have. If you wanted to do that, like as a I'm not saying permanent. I'm saying if you wanted that type of base
as
defense,
a package,
right. Yes. Right. If you wanted that, that's a wrinkle you could throw at these teams. That hey, and you know what? I'm not worried, and this is not an insult. I'm not worried about trying to go into the season to beat the Jets. I'm not worried about going in to beat the Patriots. I'm not worried about beating the Dolphins. I want to dethrone the Chiefs. Now, would that philosophy for that package work? Hey, they could have used that in the AFC Championship game. That would have been a great thing to do to try to generate more pressure on Mahomes, because you saw what pressure did to Mahomes in the Super Bowl when he didn't have any tackles.
And where was that pressure coming from?
Right in his mug.
Unique linebacker groups
Exactly.
that just brought pressure from everywhere. They brought pressure from everywhere in the Super Bowl. And I think if you're Buffalo, you don't forget that, especially since you know A.J. Klein's not exactly there to cover and you can't exactly cut him. So the best thing to do is bring him in pressure. So could we see a shift to more man coverage? I think it's definitely a possibility.
I'm fine with that.
You know?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah. And I mean, we know that we talked about, Levi. If you bring back Levi, one, because he's value and he could play instantly for you.
He is, yes.
At the contract that they offered him, I mean, he's making nothing, right? But if you switch to a more man-style coverage so you can bring more linebacker pressure, what does that do to Levi Wallace? Does that benefit him or does that hurt him, in your opinion?
This is going to be bad because I love Levi, but I don't think man is his strength. I don't think man coverage is his strength. What I do think his strength is, and the reason why he's on this team, is because Bean and McDermott love insurance policies. So if you can't get your guy at 30, your CB2, Levi's a nice little, you know what I mean? He doesn't have to play every down. He could be, he could then be, Levi, even not, I don't think he's at that point in his career, but when they signed Josh Norman, we said they already have Josh Norman, a younger version, in Levi Wallace. Well, now he becomes your Josh Norman if you're able to get a CB2 at 30. Is he your Josh Norman then? Or he comes in zone packages. Whatever. You know what I mean? I'm so interested to see what Dane Jackson brings to the table next year. Like, I'm so intrigued.
Well, I know we spent a lot of time talking about the defense, so let's switch over to talk about the offense and looking at this draft. A lot of people are in at running back at 30. Like it is yes. Just what everybody's talking about. And there's some benefits to drafting a running back at 30. You saw Christian McCaffrey, and obviously he was taken early, But there's examples of running backs being taken real late just so you can get that fifth-year option. I don't think ETN is the guy for me, right? If I am looking at the system and the running back involvement, I don't think you're getting a lot of value at 30 if you take a running back. I think this system is to throw the ball 40 times a game. I think that's its intent. I don't think that's a result of the running backs that you had. I think that's the intent. I think that's kind of where a lot of people get caught up is they want to see the Bills run the football more. So drafting a running back at 30 means that the Bills are going to run the football more. But the reality is, and we talked about this with Bruce. If you haven't seen that, we had Bruce exclusive, Bruce Nolan on the show last week. He was 100% right. Your passing numbers exponentially increase when you can manipulate safety play, right? And the running game can often manipulate safety play.
Yes.
But the Bills threw the ball with reckless abandon last year. They didn't care about the safety play.
They did.
And they were effective.
Yeah.
Right? So is that an outlier? Is it repeatable? Right? Can the Bills continue to throw the ball with reckless abandon, regardless of whether you're looking at two high or single high safety? Can you repeat that? Or is a running back the best way to ensure that you can repeat that?
I'm not sure if going running back in 2019 and then going running back in 2020, you're going to go running back in 2021. I don't understand. I think it's a devalued position in the NFL right now. Mm-hmm. So to be able to spend the least amount of money on the devalued position, like a running back, which draft picks are the cheapest option. Mm-hmm. You got 2 third-round draft picks. We talked on an episode about looking down the line when Daboll's no longer here, the value of Singletary and Moss actually increase. So you are, if you're thinking that Daboll's gone at the end of the year, then the value of your running backs are going to increase after that. Why draft one? Mm-hmm. That is another thing. What's going to be the telling point for me with the reckless abandon is the maturity of Allen and able to manipulate safeties himself. Because you don't need a running back necessarily to do that. But there has to be the threat and the fear that you're going to run the ball. Now, I think the alluring thing about the 2 running backs that everyone keeps mentioning is the fact that they could take 180. The running backs you currently have can't take 180. They can't just take a handoff and go the length of the field like a McCaffrey can or an Elliott can or a Barkley can. You know what I mean? They can't do that. So I think that's where the allure comes in, is the fact that these guys, they can't take it 80. They'll give you 5 yards, 6 yards, 7 yards.
They're not game breakers.
But that's all that that's all that you want from these running backs.
Is it the black lung, Mario?
It is the black lung. Yes, really.
Got the black lung, Pop.
I got to stop working in sawmills. Anyway, point is, all that intertwined, knowing that the value of your running backs goes up in any other type of offense, knowing that you took running backs in back-to-back seasons, knowing that when they were called upon, which wasn't much, you were playing this shuffling act among your offensive line that you couldn't develop really a lot of consistency. Well, you brought the whole line back. So now you're going to have that type of consistency. I think they'll make a more concerted effort to run the ball, but it's not going to be – I mean, Singletary might have 12 to 15 carries. That's what this offense is now. You look at this defense. This defense is built for speed. You're going to give up some stuff in the running game with this defense. Okay, that's – if you want to be really good against the pass, you're going to have to sacrifice something. So that's my take on it. That's the reason why I don't think they would go with a running back with their 30th pick, which is, I mean, if he does, that's what same thing with going for a tight end. If he doesn't use them, what's the point?
Yeah, I mean, I feel you on that, right? I feel you on that.
Yes, the coal mines. I'm sorry, Spin. I've been working in the coal mines too long.
It's true, though. It's true. I think running back's a fun pick, right? But they've gone back to the well on running back in 2019. They did it in 2020. I think they like Moss an awful lot. I think they like Moss a lot.
I really, yeah.
You know, and he brings a lot to the table. He was piss poor in pass protection last year, in my opinion. You're going to see varying. You're going to see varying opinions on that. My opinion is that his pass protection was pretty rough. Even with that being said, we know that this team often allows the rookies to make a slow impact. They're not the fastest to integrate their rookies. They're not. We saw Singletary consistently lose snaps to Gore, even when Singletary was clearing away the more effective back, right? It didn't matter. It just didn't matter. And we saw snap splits with Singletary and Moss this entire season, even though it became clear at one point that Moss was the more dynamic of the two players. He could do a little more for you offensively than Singletary could.
Yes.
With that being said, you can find fast running backs off the scrap heap, off the waiver wire, on somebody else's practice squad for nothing.
There it is. Paul, we need a bell.
What? Oh, what?
We need a bell.
What?
Don't forget Christian Wade.
There it is. You're right.
We need a bell. We definitely need a bell.
Thanks, Spin. Thanks a lot.
I love Spin. Thank you.
Everybody's got to bring. Someone's got to bring up Christian Wade.
Christian
All he does
Wade.
is score touchdowns.
All he does.
Every time he touches the ball. Every time he scores touchdowns.
The Chris Carter of the running back position.
It brings up an interesting point. Bills need a kick returner. Is Christian Wade your guy? He took kickoffs and he can take punts. He's a return man at league minimum.
Why not?
Like, is he your guy?
Why not? I mean, it wasn't like.
I mean, it's a conversation to have.
It is. I know, but I don't. That's my no. You could, and they love getting value for things like that. But the guy's going to be 29, 30 years old. Is that the only thing he's going to do? Is he going to be a gunner on punts too? Like, what are you going to do with him?
Yeah, I mean,
could he be?
But it's. I think this is a matter of, are you going to keep Taiwan Jones or are you going to keep Christian Wade? If Christian Wade is returning kicks for you and on your punt pro team, you're cutting Taiwan Jones. Like, it's as simple as that.
I mean, he could. I mean, he's that element of football would appeal to him. I believe kick and punt returns would really appeal to him.
It's the most translatable, right? It's what you'd expect him to be effective at, right?
Absolutely. But then he get tackled and get back up and start running again. I mean, we got to make sure that he does.
He dives across the goal line and and slams the ball into the ground.
He kicks it through the upright.
Yeah, he's on a breakaway and drops it.
Don't ring the bell. Push the buzzer. I mean that's
Buffalo fan says Taiwan Jones was extended. Yeah, right. Taiwan Jones was extended, but again, just because players are restructured, take pay cuts or extended does not guarantee them a future. When you've got this little room against the cap.
When they actively go out for guys, then you could kind of say that. But if they're re-signing guys prior to the draft at league minimum deals, yeah. Would they keep them? Could they keep them? Yeah, I understand.
Right. Yeah.
Imagine a 4.25 returning for us, though. Yeah, that would be nice.
Oh, no, that's Eric Stokes. Don't let LeMistress lure you into that. Just talking about Eric Stokes.
I know. I'll talk about Eric Stokes all day. We're gonna.
Pablo says, like the video. Yes, that's right. We got 150
Absolutely.
people watching. Of course, like the video.
150 people. Paul's got his radio voice on tonight, and I
don't know why.
I have mine. I drank a fifth of bourbon and smoked 6 cigars voice.
Is it just me, or is this draft full of players whose names we will just never pronounce correctly?
You mean the cornerback from Miami last year?
No, look at David Arizi's comment. Hamza Nazarildeen. I literally have watched him play, and I still can't pronounce.
I'm going to call him Jeremy Chin 2.0. That's what I'm going to call him.
We got asked on the community tab, and if you guys are unaware, on our community tab, we'll actually ask questions like, what do you guys want to talk about? This week, we're going to cut a rapid-fire episode, so we've got like 40 comments. Steven put on like 45 comments himself. So Steven actually did our graphic design for us.
Yes, he did.
He's a hashtag hero. But there was a point that I was going to get to here. If you ever want us to talk about anything, you're curious about something, just find a post on the community tab on YouTube and just drop your comment there. We literally read every single one of these. So there's no comment that goes unseen. So we do our best to try and get back to you. If you're commenting on a video from like 2 weeks ago, I can't promise we're going to get back to you. But if it's been released the last day or 2 or 3, then oftentimes, we'll get back to you on anything that you say. But if there's anything that you ever want to talk about, just hit us up on that community tab.
Yeah, Hamza. That's Chin 2.0. I'll go with that.
Well, and there was somebody asked, can we get Mario to give a Kyle Duggar rant? That's why that came to mind. Was like, can somebody have Mario do a Kyle Duggar rant?
That's fresh. Those wounds are fresh. Just keep pouring the lemon juice in that, boys. I mean, that kind of hurts a little bit. But that guy on this team, oh brother, he makes a bigger
Kyle Duggar
impact
solves
than
a lot
AJ.
of problems for you. Solves a lot of problems for you.
He does, but you're in the same position that you are this year, looking for an edge guy.
Yeah, I agree there.
If you took Chin or Duggar in the place of Epineza, well, you couldn't take one of them. One of them was already gone, wasn't he? I think Chin was already gone. He went to Carolina. No, Duggar went to Patriots, right?
Yeah. So I guess that's kind of where I am. People talk about, the Bills have an issue at pass, at the defensive end position. But McDermott definitely has a type. And maybe this is a lead into another episode, or maybe we can talk about it now. But McDermott's got a type, right? This isn't a Leslie Frazier type. This is a McDermott type.
It's McDermott.
And a lot of these really flashy edge rushers, they don't fit McDermott's mold of what he considers to be an effective pass rusher in the NFL for what he likes.
They do not.
So it's really hard to find a defensive end fit for a Sean McDermott defense in the draft. It's really hard because they're there to play a specific role, and the speedy, slightly undersized defensive end is not who he is interested in at all. There's been some fun players coming around the edges the last few drafts, and the Bills have had a need at the defensive end position for a couple seasons.
Oh, yeah.
And every offseason, they've needed it, right? And every year, we keep saying the same thing. We're just going to sign veterans. There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
So, the mold of what Sean McDermott considers to be an effective pass rusher in the NFL, you don't often find in the draft, or at least not high in the draft, right? I feel like maybe I'm alone on that.
No, you find AJ Epineza. That's what you find.
Yeah,
that's what he likes.
Yeah,
get your hard hat, get your lunch pail, set the edge, punch out, go home. That's what he wants.
Yeah,
we'll take care of it with everything else.
Mm-hmm.
You got a linebacker now that you're paying $44 million. You have an athletic freak in Edmonds. Let them clean everything up. Mm-hmm. Just keep bodies off of him. You 4 guys, your responsibility is to occupy 5 guys. Why do you think it was so effective for 2 years now? Teams running inside trap plays with tight ends, getting big chunks of yardage, because one of the first years, 4 was eating up 5. So teams had to adjust against the Buffalo Bills. So they were bringing a tight end in that could trap block. That's what happened. So, Chin and Duggar.
Well, I think we probably got to wrap things up a little bit more. So I'm willing to make a bet here, and I'm willing to go to the comment section to determine the prize in the bet. Ready? And here's my bet to you. I want you to take it. I want #Nation in the comment section to give not the punishment but the prize for the bet. Right? I will want everybody. I keep hearing the name Zaven Collins. Zaven Collins at 30. Zaven Collins at 30. I've hearing it for months. My bet is Zaven Collins won't be there at 30. Right? That's it. That's all the bet is. Zaven Collins won't be there at 30. If he's there at 30, what's the punishment? Right? That's it. That's all it is. If Zaven Collins is there at 30, what's the punishment? Regardless of whether the Bills are there. This is just player to number. Right? I think the Bills have to trade up to get to Zaven Collins. I like Zaven Collins a lot, but I don't think there's any way he gets past 24. I just don't. I don't see it. I don't see any way he gets past 24. Doesn't Pittsburgh draft at 24?
Oh my God, yeah. Linebacker you.
I'm just saying, right? So I don't think there's any
way. You're not wrong.
I don't think there's any way.
You're not wrong, Paul. You're not wrong.
I think Pittsburgh drafts at 24 without, I'm not checking. I think they do. But in that case, right, I think that's the number, right?
23.
So
I think.
if he's available at 30, what's the punishment, right?
For you?
Yeah, I'm willing to take punishment if he's there at 30 because I just don't see a scenario that he makes it to 30.
Well, Paul, this is a joint effort, Paul. This is a joint effort. Okay.
And this is not if he's not available at 30 that there's an opposite side to this. This is just Paul will get punished if Zaven Collins is there at 30.
And I'm saying this. This is a package deal for people. All right. You get hashtag, you get both of us. That's my point. So I'm going to throw it to the chat, and then whoever else wants to do it in the comment section later. If Zaven Collins is available at 30, what is the punishment for hashtag sports?
John Vernon, Paul looking for a loophole.
Yes. No, if he's still
no Dr. Tops for a week. Man, these people know me good. Shave my head. That is not going to happen. I can assure you that I do not have a very kind bald head. I have a lot of hair on the top of my head, and I do not have a very pleasing bald head. I promise that.
I propose this. This is funny.
Paul must drink brand name soda on the air. I saw Dwayne said I had to wear a Patriots hat for 2 live streams. Watch a Bills game blindfolded. A flaming table.
No.
Dress up like adult babies in public. Donnie, come on, man. What are you doing?
Paul and I both have onesies, so that's actually
that is true.
Feasible. Now here's the deal. True. If he's there at 30, we're gonna have to take a punishment from hashtag Nation. However, if he's not there at 30, if he gets drafted before 30, dinner's on you guys.
Ooh, I like that.
Okay,
I like that.
Somebody will have. We'll we have Venmo, we have Cash App. Dinner's on you guys.
Mar, I think Scott Summers brings up a great one. If he's there at 30, Paul eats a ghost pepper. Would you go hot pepper challenge with me if he's there at 30?
I would go hot pepper challenge, but I love Tony B's better. You eating 3 Bavarian cream donuts is even funnier. You hate that. I'll go ghost pepper. I mean, I'll. If you guys want that to be the last broadcast we ever do, that's great.
I don't
wear
know
a
if you can do the
bikini.
pepper.
I am not a bikini. Trent Murphy as a special guest.
Listen, Deion Dawkins once followed us on social media, and that week we talked so much trash about Deion Dawkins. It was like the worst week for him to follow us. It's the worst week.
A couple of Little Caesars pizzas.
Of this channel. Yeah, it was so bad.
Do what Nick Wright did. What Nick? Oh, he did the. That's like a badge of honor, though. Like I don't want to.
Yeah,
I don't want to toil in
that.
that.
Badge of honor. Yeah, I think it's a badge of honor.
You guys want us to be punished, correct? Zaven Collins super chat quote or question mark.
Drink Old Milwaukee Light. There's nothing wrong with Old Milwaukee Light when you're 18, right? It's like Ice House. It is like.
What if
Keystone
Bills trade
Light.
up and draft Collins? Well, he wasn't taking at 30.
Yeah,
we weren't talking about the Bills taking him.
Yeah. Bills are definitely a fit, right? I just don't see a scenario where he's there at 30, man.
Oh, my God.
I'm just not there.
No, Trek. Trek. There's certain things I can't bring myself to do.
Mario only drinks White Claw. Mar, isn't there a refrigerator next to you full of White Claw?
Yeah, and they're yours. Do you guys remember when Paul put me through the table? Those were the White Claw he drank. Tried making me drink. Wear a Zay Jones jersey. I am not defaming my Drew Bledsoe Buffalo Bills jersey for that. I'm not doing that. I could see that happening.
AK Cash, Ice House made Red Dog taste like Budweiser.
That's hysterical. Boone's Farm for Paul.
Yeah, I think
that's funny.
I think if we look at this, I think the pepper makes the most sense.
It does.
Right?
We're in trouble.
I think pepper and probably slam a Jenny Cream Ale. Will you do that? Pepper and slam a Jenny Cream Ale right after?
Can we get another clause in this for her? Yeah, slam a Jenny Cream Ale.
Yeah.
Okay. If he's there, we have to eat the pepper.
Okay.
But if the Bills take him, it's a push.
It is. I think it's a push at 30.
Yeah.
I think it's a push at 30.
So
if the Bills take him,
if Collins gets drafted before we win, if the Bills or if he's still there at 30, we lose. But if the Bills take him, it's a push.
Donnybrook, Ishish car bombs. Sounds like somebody's been in the Irish car bombs for a couple hours.
Donnie, take care of that cat, brother.
You guys should tweet that Sammy is still my number 14. Get out of here, Pierre. With that nonsense.
No,
Outta here with
no.
that.
We actually like having followers.
All right, I think we're in on this one.
Yes,
I think we're locked in.
we're
All
in
right.
on this one. So,
All right, I think we're locked in.
So hashtag Nation, thank you so much for joining us tonight on the live feed as we talked a little bit about the rosters of the AFC East and the rosters of the Buffalo Bills. A player named Collins do not do well in Buffalo. Oh my God, no. But
Yeah.
like I said, hashtag Heroes, hashtag Nation, Bills Mafia. We cannot thank you enough for the undying support that you guys give us, and we just love doing this so much, and we love broadcasting Bills stuff for you. So if you guys want to keep watching, we'll keep broadcasting. So thank you so much. We got to go film our episodes for the rest of the week. So for Paul, it's Mario. Hashtag Nation, thank you. Bills Mafia, thank you. And make sure you go check in the description. Mr. Rogers Homes. I know the weather's getting better, but it can always get much better in Arizona. So go check him out. Top 1 realtor in Arizona. Tell him Paul and Mario sent you, and we're out of here.